Patrons, I just want to do a short video, just drop in with you all. Just probably just to say, really just to say thanks so much for being my patrons, for being involved in this ministry, that Bible Guy ministry. As you know, you hear me saying to get God's word out there to help as many as possible. Thanks so much. Just want to welcome a few new patrons. I know I haven't welcomed everyone as I've went along. This is all came on pretty quick. God is doing incredible things. Just in the last week, just want to welcome Gareth, Ross, and now Rob today as patrons to this ministry. Just again, your support is invaluable, and as I've said a few times, it is actually making dreams, long-standing dreams that I've had, come true of ministry. Really, which is just about using our gifts. 1 Peter 4:10 in order to help other people. Use what you've been given to help other people. So thanks, and great to have these new guys joined in with me. I just want to let you know about one of the major goals of this ministry is outreach, evangelism, and trying to save as many people as we can. I do have a study today, which is very exciting, actually. Study in lockdown, so it's going to be at a 2 meter distance still, outside somewhere, with a guy called David. And David won't mind me saying this because he shared this online himself. But David, it was a parent at the school of the child in the same class as Isabella. So we've got to know them quite well. Him and his wife, they came for dinner on several occasions. And I began to learn that he had maybe some battles with depression, which were not evident at all. And around December of 2019, we became aware of some of that. And I asked him at the last time he was over for dinner, did he want to talk, and said no. But shortly after this, he did actually try to commit suicide in a car, drove into a lorry, and he was in intensive care. We didn't think he was going to make it. We prayed, and I remember thinking that I was going to be at his funeral at some point. So I'm studying with him today. He has had a spiritual awakening out of this and feels like it was good that it happened. Some people find that hard to hear from him, but he has really reevaluated his life, and he is very open. He says he feels that someone stopped him from dying. He actually feels like he had a moment where he thought he was gone, the white light experience and so on. So, incredible story. I'm going to study with him today. We're going to look at the Word of God together, and hopefully we can work together on, look, God is reaching out to you as he reaches out to all of us. Acts 17. He's not far from each one of us. So I'm going to have a study with him today. I'll keep you informed as to how that's going. Please let me know about studies you have, or people you're reaching out to, or people you'd like to reach out to and you maybe want some ideas on that. This is definitely one of the things I want to do in this ministry, is helping other people. Big need of the hour, to be honest. We touched briefly, I'm only going to mention this briefly. I know I normally give more on this, the moral argument this week. The moral argument is hard to argue against the moral argument. Dostoevsky, I mentioned Bertrand Russell, and other people who were atheists. The atheistic worldview, Dostoevsky wasn't an atheist, Bertrand Russell was, Richard Dawkins is, and they all acknowledge you can't have objective moral values if you're an atheist, because you can't ground it to anything. You can claim that you want people to act morally, and it's in their mind all without God, but you can't expect anyone else to act that way, and therefore it's not objectively true. So whether you want to be good to other people or not, it's your choice, and if you don't want to be, that's fine. And in their view, along with the fact that it's not an objective standard, there's no judgment either. We came about by mere chance. We're molecules in motion. We're just an accident, and therefore it doesn't really matter. Well, I've had a few conversations with people like this, and I'll not give us too much, as it's a very complicated philosophical arguments to try and wriggle out of this one. Moral realism's one of them, and there's a few other ones. They don't really stand up, to be perfectly honest. Not that I'm a philosopher as such, but one of the conversations I had with a guy in work one day, liked the idea of believing in God, probably didn't. I asked him about heaven and hell. Nah, not sure, probably not. And I said to him, I says, okay, well then there's no judgment. And he's like, nah, it's fine, no judgment. I says, okay. In the news at that time was a story of a baby P who had been beaten to death by his stepfather. Horrendous story, really horrendous story. And there's stories like that out there, unfortunately, literally every day. But I says to him, he's not being judged. He did that. He's just died like everybody else. His life, his outcome of his life is no different from yours and mine. Same with Hitler. Anyone else you care to mention, Stalin, anyone else that you've got contempt for because of how they lived their life. There's no judgment, no heaven and hell, no moral standard, no judgment. And I said that's your worldview. And he's like, oh goodness, I don't want that to be true. that there's got to be a judgment. And I actually spent the next few minutes talking him round to the end of it all. He says there has to be judgment. There simply has to be. I can't decide to live the rest of my life whatever way I want. Hundreds of women, cheating on my wife, being aggressive with my kids, being a horrible individual, feel like murdering someone I do, but yet my outcomes are different than Mother Teresa's or any other wonderful person in society who's altruistic and sacrifices themselves for others. Outcomes the same. What difference does it make? Really, in reality, he didn't like that. Again, that's one of the arguments that I start to have with people is let me play out your atheism. Let me play it out then. Can you live like that? The reality is you cannot live like that. It just doesn't work. There's a total inconsistency there, which, as I say, was acknowledged by Bertrand Russell. That's just some thoughts on the moral argument. I'm going to be back next week with talking about injustice. Sorry, not injustice. I just covered that. I mean testimony. I'll give more details on that. Changed lives. The changed lives of the apostles. Last thing I want to say was just please drop me any questions you have. Once I finish this series, I'm going to deal with questions on the Bible. One of the questions, and again, I love your thoughts and feedback on questions as well. I'm maybe going to tell you ahead of time what question I'm covering. Then I can, if I get a question from you, I'll read out your name if you're okay with that. And also then, if you have any thoughts on the question, let me know your thoughts and I'll read them out. Again, we may or may not agree. That's fine. It's not a big deal. But again, we can read them out and have a look at. The next question I'll probably deal with is a question asked to me by my daughter. I've already looked at it a little bit, which was, and I'm very strong on this, is that Matthew 5, it says, don't call anyone fool. Raca, it's not just murder, but don't be angry with your brother. Don't call him a fool either. But then Jesus uses the word fool. Paul uses the word fool. Why is that? So that's the next question I'm going to look at. It won't be on here for a while, but it's the one I'm going to be researching on a little bit for the next wee while. I have already been doing, to be honest, so it's not far off. Anyway, drop me your questions, your thoughts on that or anything else. Your support is invaluable to me. This is an exciting time. God is going to do great things. I want to keep you up to date with those whose lives are being changed by this ministry. At the minute, I study with David. Please pray for that. I'll be in touch with you all again soon. Thank you so much for your support. God bless.